Hey guys, welcome into the PuggoReborn channel. Today we're going to be going into the next perk in the perk guide. Today's perk is 9 lives. I'm going to be giving you my deep detail analysis of this perk, then followed by going into the Puggo RoundTable, in which community members come together giving their thoughts and opinions of this perk, including a grade from 1 to 5, 1 being great, 5 being terrible, then afterwards into the general discussion. If you would like to see what people are saying, you can always go to the description section for timestamps. And then, of course, I gotta ask, if you could take 2 seconds of your time to hit that like, that'd be fantastic. Subscribe for more content, and of course, the Discord. You can join the Discord and be a part of the discussion. Without further ado, let's get into 9 lives. So when looking at any perk, you have to start with the actual description of the perk. It says, once per battle, upon receiving a killing blow, survive with a few hit points left and receive plus 15 melee defense, plus 15 range defense, plus 15 resolve, plus 15 initiative until its next turn. All damage over time, status effects, bleed, poison, etc. are removed. Note, hit points gained are random number between 5 and 10. With all this being said, in the past, the biggest kryptonite to this perk used to be bleed, poison, etc. Because of the reason that if you died and came back with 9 lives, the bleed would never be wiped, or the poison. So immediately as your next turn goes, you instantly die. So having this little extra effect that negates the bleed and poison is very, very important and very helpful. Also makes pesky enemies like the Necker Savant even more dangerous. Alright, so let's get into the deep dive of 9 lives. This is very important. We all know that when you die, you come back. If you get struck to the point where you're going to die, you come back with these bonuses until your next turn. Now, here's the question that doesn't really get brought up, and it's, again, the deep detail is, what is better? A bro with really high initiative to get this perk, or a bro with low initiative to get this perk? Let me explain. Let's start with high initiative bros. So high initiative means that you go first in the turn order over most things. Let's say for a second you wait a turn as a high initiative bro. Somebody strikes you down and it comes back to your turn within the same turn order. Unfortunately, with this perk, if you get struck down and it comes to your turn, you only get the bonus up until that turn. So effectively, you either need to get your brother out of there or you lose all them bonuses within technically the same turn. But not so fast. There is a bonus to having really high initiative that should not be dismissed. The reason that things went south is because you waited a turn and died within a later turn order. However, in this scenario, if you're at the very top of the turn order, you're going within the first 3 bros, attack, walk away, but get struck down within that round, the very next round you start at the beginning of the initiative order, which gives you a better survival rate to get out of there. Now let's look at the heavy bros. So when you have a brother who has very little initiative and really a lot of armor and whatnot, there's kind of a concern that comes up. Number one, most of your brothers will go before you unless they're waiting a turn. And a lot of the enemies will go before you. So if an enemy attacks you, strikes down your guy, and he comes back, it could happen within 3 different enemies or other bros where he gets that bonus. Once it becomes your turn, it's no different than that nimble bro we talked about, who waited a turn. Let's flip the script just a little bit though. If that heavy bro has really good defense, has poor initiative, but he makes it to his turn and you do something that's tanky like indom or your shield walling or whatever the case may be, and you get struck down afterwards, after you are done with your turn, you have all these bonuses until the next turn order in the next round. Again, this is going to be something that the user has to decide, is that worthy? Are you going to have other bros that can save them using things like rotation or footwork? One thing you can use 9 lives on, and I feel like the community uses quite often, would be on fodder. Ultimately, the strategy is to put it on fodder. Fodder is the definition of not going to last forever. If he dies, he dies. That type of mentality. This will keep him alive long enough to save other brothers. A sacrificial lamb, if you will. That aspect of this perk is fantastic. Now it's time to look at the malnutrition fodder. In other words, known as indebted. So the indebted are a great opportunity because there are good indebted, but a lot of times their lives are cut short because of so low of health. 40 to 50 health is pretty darn small unless you go into Colossus, etc. However, this is a buffer to keep them alive longer, keep them in the ranks, especially if you find one that really makes a difference for your group or can make a difference in the long run. Definitely worth keeping an eye on. Now I know what you're saying. You're probably saying, Puggo, I've heard all these things before. Give me some juice that I haven't had before. All right. Here comes some new Kool-Aid to get on board with. So look at the retinue for a moment and look at the surgeon, which is one of the followers that you get if you treat 5 men with injuries at the temple. So what he says here is, it says, makes every man without a permanent injury guaranteed to survive otherwise a fatal blow. Then it says makes injuries take 1 less day to heal. This is so important, guys, and it can really piggyback on a Iron Man run with this perk. So let me explain. If you're playing against somebody and you get dropped down, you get hit and he dies and comes back, the surgeon is a buffer that stacks with 9 lives. Instead of losing the brother right away, you have the opportunity to withstand 1 more shot. It's like rolling the dice and somebody saying, oh, you don't like that dice roll? Here's the dice back and roll again. Either way, you're still gonna have money in your pocket, but you're gonna lose some of that money that was once chump change. With these two put together, it makes that little bit of difference to keeping a guy alive longer, especially in Iron Man mode. Believe it or not, there's some armor that works really well with 9 lives. It would be the armor of the Jirok and the helmet of the Jirok. To obtain these items, you need to destroy the Mad Barbarian and then kill the Jirok. Both the armor of the Jirok and the helmet of the Jirok have a unique ability to heal your hit points 10 each per round, which ultimately means that every round you get 20 hit points back. Why this is important is because if you proc 9 lives, you get 20 hit points on top of 5 to 10 from coming back to life, which ultimately can be 25 hit points or 30 hit points. This is assuming that you had ignoring armor kill you. If the armor's completely shredded, it doesn't matter, but if you do go down because a chosen hits through your armor and kills you, this can actually bring you back into the fight. Since Blazing Deserts, there's other ways to save bros, and that would be with the Smoke Bomb. The Smoke Bomb puts down an AoE of 7 in a circle, and you're able to move out of range from an enemy, and the enemy is able to do the same thing as well, so they're not getting an attack of opportunity. This can save you if 9 lives does proc. The last thing I'm going to give you that you may not have thought about with this perk is the Hexen effect. Pretty much the Hexen effect is this. When you get a brother close enough to a Hexen, they tend to hex a brother, which means that anytime you do damage to a Hexen, that damage is equivalated to that brother. So let's say you put full bore on one Hexen to kill him, and the brother that's hexed has 9 lives. Well, when you kill the Hexen, she dies, but your brother comes back to life with 9 lives. Now, is it the most practical strategy? Probably not, but definitely fun, and it does work incredibly well. I have to touch on the ailing effects just a little bit more. Speaking on poison and bleed, some of the best enemies in the game have these ailing effects against your brothers, and literally 1 round can be the difference of life and death. The fact that this negates that can make all the difference in the world. Definitely worth a final note. 3 notable perks that work incredibly well with 9 lives is going to be this: footwork, rotation, and dodge. Footwork is a great survival perk that gets you out of the radius of an enemy trying to attack you. This is incredibly important when you're at death's door, so definitely worth a look-see with 9 lives. Rotation is a fantastic perk that you don't have to put with the 9 lives brother, just being able to have an opening where somebody can rotate you out of a bad situation. Definitely worth a note. And finally, dodge is one of those perks that is very good in terms of defense if you build it out correctly. So for nimble bros, it works incredibly because you're getting that stack of 15 to your defense on top of the dodge, depending on how you set your brother up. The final thing we need to go over is 9 lives when it comes to Iron Man and when it comes to save scumming. When you save scum, this perk ultimately means nothing, because if a bro dies or survives or whatever the case is, you can easily just reload the game and it's like it never happened. However, when it comes to Iron Man, this perk has a lot of validity to it. Because you have brothers that you want to keep alive, or maybe you have challenge runs where bros can't die, this is incredibly helpful because this perk does keep them alive 1 more round, and usually it's always that last round that either takes your brother's life or takes him to the momentum of legendary. Either way, it's up for you to decide whether this perk is worth taking. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you sticking through all this. Please hit that like, subscribe, and now let's go into the roundtable. Alright guys, now we're going to get into the round table. We have all the guys assembled to talk about this fantastic perk, right? 9 lives. And yeah, so pretty much we're gonna give a rating 1 to 5. 1 being it's a great perk, 5 being definitely not a great perk. And then after that, once we're done going through each person, we're gonna have the general description, or I'm sorry, the timestamps will be in the description below. So without further ado, we're gonna go to the what are we calling them? What are we calling you, Robert?
Virgin verdict, I think it was.
The virgin verdict. Robert, the man who has never put his little grubby fingers on the mouse to play the game, but watches it quite a bit. What do you think about 9 lives?
For 9 lives, I'd have to say it might be controversial, but I believe that it's a 4. With the description for the perk being that if your character drops below like a really low percentage, then he comes back with a bit more health and he takes off debilitating effects, then I believe that it's a really bad perk, because the fact that there's when you get out of when you get out in confrontation from other units and stuff like that. So if your guy has really low initiative and an enemy hits you and it drops your health really, really low and the perk kicks in, then when it's your turn, you have to try to break off from the fight. And then in the next turn, he's going to get absolutely mauled anyways. Then it could be good if your guy has good initiative and you try to like get rid of, I don't know, poison or bleeding or whatever. But it really sounds like you're really expecting your guy to get absolutely mauled in the first place. Then I think in like Battle Brothers and Unforgiving game, then it's not a really good like mindset to get into. It could be good on a tank or whatever. It's just like a spare throwaway perk if he doesn't have loads of perks available to him. But it doesn't. It on paper it seems good, but you think about it, it's not actually that great because you're expecting him to get absolutely mauled in the first place. And that's my take.
I gotta say, there's some serious conventional wisdom coming out of your mouth. Like, on this perk, I'm actually, for somebody who's never played the game, just basic thought, I think you did a great job dissecting how you felt. And don't worry, I don't think you're cutting too hard against the grain. So with that being said, let's move on to Baba Ganoush. What do you think about 9 lives?
Alright, so I'm gonna have to give it a 5. And like Robert said, it's only good for people who you expect to die, because like if you want to have guys to survive, you don't give them this perk. This is for when they don't survive. You want to give them like perks like Colossus if you want them to survive, you know, or like Steel Brow or whatever. This is like this is what you give to fodder. This is, you just want to prolong the fight as long as you can, like with this. Like for example, Necro Savants, they have this. Like you kill them, but they keep attacking you. It's super annoying, but you eventually kill them. If it's like one hit after, I really don't like this perk. It's I mean, it does remove all the effects from you, but you have to get away from the fight, which is like, unless somebody rotates you out, yeah, but you could still like get shot or something when you're away from the other guys. Like, I just don't think it's a very good perk at all.
Anybody, any thoughts? Anybody? I'm shocked. Well, I guess we'll move on then. CarveaHole, what do you think about 9 lives?
All right. I think 9 lives is a 4. So I say it's a 4, not because it's bad, but because it's highly situational. It is bad on almost everybody, but it is actually like super, super strong on fodder bros. And so far, people have been saying, oh, you put it on fodder bros. But fodder bro, that's a real role. In the early game, that is a real thing. You have a lot of fodder bros just by extension that most roles, it's gambling. This is a gambling game because you roll on bros and half of them are trash. So you just get a lot of them. But then you also need a lot of them because, you know, when you're fighting raiders on day 5, your guys are garbage. The best weapon they have is a warfork. So you need someone to just kind of run around and distract some raiders, so your guys with the warfork and the wooden reinforced flail can kill those like 3 raiders, and then you can come and kill the other 2. Because fighting like 6 on 3 and then 6 on 2 is a lot better than 6 on 5. That is like, so you need some kind of guy to just tank hits. So if you don't have bros, that like can take those, just die. Like those bros exist to die, so they need 9 lives. But like after that early game, when you don't have bros constantly on death's door because they're not like terrible, then 9 lives really has no more use for you. So it's a really good early game perk. I also think it's probably good on Indebted. I haven't done an Indebted run, but I bet when you're playing Manhunters, just keeping, because I feel like you would just have a lot of those fodder Indebted, then it would be really good there. But overall, it's really good on a small amount of bros in the early game, and that's about it. So highly situational is a 4.
Okay, any questions? Man, this might be the most cut and dry perk we're gonna run through. Alright. Flak attack. What do you got for me?
I used to run this every time. Everybody used to get this perk. So I'm actually going to say a 3. If I'm stepping up my difficulty, I'm going to get this perk no matter what, just so I can actually try out the difficulty. But it is the only time I would actually use it now on the difficulties I actually know how to play in would be if I'm doing fodder bros like they've been saying, or if I actually just want to make sure that somebody to survive. If I was doing the Manhunter, on the Manhunter start, I put them all on my Indebted bros, just so I can have the other two, or the others, have more fodder to survive with, as well as the bonus to what that start has.
Any other thoughts, or?
Not really, no.
No, I think that's good. I think that's a really good avenue to go. Something that wasn't brought up was the Indebted run. Definitely. I'll get into that on my turn later on, but I think you hit some really good points, Flak, so very good.
Could have been good in that stream today.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. All right. So with that being said then, Jager, what do you think about 9 lives?
So I'm going to agree with CarveaHole on this, saying that it's a 4 because it's situational. Not only the Manhunter origin, but I believe that it's pretty useful in the Peasant Militia, if that wasn't said yet, because you have that a lot of brothers that you can field in the battles. Not all of them are going to be amazing brothers, especially early on. And I've certainly made this what my interpretation of a fodder brother is, where I just send out a 9 lives wearing a cloth sack and either a club or a dagger, just to go out there and cause some havoc early on in the beginning of a battle. If they make it, cool, then I can keep them alive a little bit longer, but if they don't, that was their role. But outside of that, no, I probably wouldn't use it. I could see it being useful for taunt. You'd have to put rotation on it for sure, and if they can live long enough, then footwork would be a pretty great perk for them. But that's if they could make it that far.
Anything else, or is that it?
That's all I got.
Okay, any questions for him? Okay. All right. Well then, Shinobi, you have the floor. What do you think about 9 lives?
9 lives has got to be a solid 3. I mean, imagine that. I'm going to talk about having fun with it. So I had a brother that was struck down 6 times, had 5 permanent injuries, and he was just going into battle on the front lines still, just like Catwoman from Batman Returns. You're the second man who killed me this week, but I got 7 lives left. No fear. It was a game to me at that point, trying to get this brother killed in any fashion. Every fight, 2 or 3 hits later, he'd be struck down, brain damage, weakened heart, traumatized. There's something with his leg. He became slow. Yeah, he's just too stupid to die. It was great. I don't use it often, but anytime I do, it turns away from utilitarian to trying to see how far I can push this one guy to the brink of death. That's probably on me, not him, in retrospect.
Just out of curiosity, did the perk save him though?
Yeah.
The only reason I say, because you said he got struck down, I wasn't sure if that means he survived a hit for a moment, and then the next round he ended up getting killed.
So the perk had saved him, and I believe just allowed him to take more punishment. It didn't help him.
Okay.
He'd get hit, he'd stay up, he'd get struck down, he'd survive the battle, and it was just a vicious cycle like that, where 9 lives would probably proc 3 or 4 times in his life. But it was never good for him. Just meant he got hurt worse.
Anybody, any questions or anything, or?
Just one, like, so you gave it to him to make that challenge to kill him.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
see.
that wasn't how it started, but that's what it evolved into.
All right.
It was just a sick game between me, him, and the AI.
I don't know if I know anybody who tests the
Shinobi.
game more than you. In this
Every single
sadistic
time
way.
you turn into more of a sadist.
Yeah. These perk guides.
This game has touched me very deeply, I think.
Yeah, like a dagger to the freaking side. Holy cow. Like, it feels like you're getting stabbed by that goblin, you know? That
Clear
is.
himself.
But the cool thing is that there's there's plenty of people out there that are going to totally relate. And, like, what a unique way to go with 9 lives, or to see it out, you know? So, yeah, that's definitely something there.
I mean, like, I didn't send him in like Baba the Naked.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he was still equipped. He was legitimate. He just had the piss poorest luck ever.
Should be
And
an
it became
unlucky
fun.
trait.
Oh, it just became so entertaining.
He had piss poor luck. I had very good luck.
All right, well,
Yeah, I would hate to be that brother.
no doubt. All right, so with that being said then, guys, I'll give you guys my thought analysis, etc. So I give this perk, and this is a tough one for me. Again, splitting hairs here. I'm thinking 3.5, and I almost feel like I have to go to 3, but there's a reason for it. I'm gonna give it a 3, and it kills me to say that. In my head, for me and how I play, I give it a 4 personally, but if I'm doing it the broad spectrum, it's a 3. And here's the reason why. Starting out, your fodder bros, again, just touching on what CarveaHole said, your fodder bros, it's such a perfect perk for them. To give them one more chance to hit something, to give them one more chance to survive, and then use them for another fight to save another brother's life is incredible. It's not like you're getting 9 lives for that brother. You're getting 9 lives for all the brothers that you want to keep alive. And I think that is a very telling story. Now, the other side of this coin, or not even the other side, the other detail to this coin, I should say, is if you're playing Indebted, your Indebted can only get to level 7, whereas any other campaign you can get them past level 11, etc. But in this case, when I was doing the Indebted run, the 100-day run in early access, I found that the best perk for them was 9 lives. That as many times as they survived a fight, so that I could continue to reap the rewards, it was unbelievable. The other thing too is that this perk in particular, I talk about this often in my videos, is that there's so many moments when you're 1 round away from completing it. Even if everybody's injured and about to die, you're 1 round away, and then somebody does die, and it's devastating. Now, does that justify this perk on every brother? Absolutely not. I don't use this perk on any other people than fodder, but if I'm talking about certain runs, it matters. Now let's get into the ultra late talk. Is there a way that this perk is helpful? Well, I know in Reddit there was this challenge that went around for a long time, and it was ultimately what you started with you had to keep. So what people would do is, this was an essential perk for them, lone wolf or not. If you're lone wolf and you have this perk, again, a lot of times it comes down to that last round. And to do the challenge where you can't lose, if you lose a brother, you can't hire any other brothers. It sounds insane and stuff. People did the 100-day monolith challenge. Somebody did it in 40 freaking days. I think it was 43 is the record or something to that effect. And he had the 9 lives perk because it was something that truly did save him. The other effect that they added to this perk is really nice as well, and that would be if you're bleeding and you die, you come back and you don't have any bleed or poison or any of that stuff affecting you. It negates like the Mazma. If you're in a Mazma cloud and you die, you come back right away. That gives you one more chance to get your brother out of there. I can see why people would entertain it, but again, there's just so many other perks that give it so much more, or that are so much more vital to success. But I know that there's pro Battle Brother players that still will use this perk in one of those unique runs or unique challenges, and I think it's essential in that way. But yeah, it's barely a 3 if I have to force. For me, it's a 4 for the fodder situation or the certain playthrough Indebted. Otherwise, for other uses, it has its place. It's just not great. So that's my thoughts on it here. Any questions or anything? Okay, and then we're gonna open
Yeah,
up. Oh, go
one
ahead.
question actually.
Yep.
When you were talking about all of the damage over time, bleeding and poison,
Yep.
was that something added in the update, the recent update, or was
Yes.
that always there?
No, it was.
Okay.
It was added. Yep. They ended up adding. In fact, I think they upped the. So it used to. I could be wrong about this. I believe it was plus 10 across the board. Melee defense, range defense, resolve, and initiative. They bumped it to 15, and then they also made it so that the next turn the bleed wouldn't automatically kill you. See, that was the way that everyone always said that the strategy to kill Necro Savants was with bleeding or any weapon that could cause bleed, because when 9 lives saved them at the very end of their turn, they would die because of the bleed. It never got rid of it. So the developers were like, no. Because we all know when you're facing Necro Savants, the thing that should go through your head is how close, or when I get to 9 lives, am I going to be able to effectively finish him off? Because if they get one more turn where they can go through a whole turn process in the first order, you're gonna get hit, or you're gonna get close to being hit, and if you do, it could be devastating. So
that wasn't added to make it more, to give it some more.
More validity, essentially.
Well, it wasn't made that way so people would want to use it, but it was to remove the way that people killed Necro Savants.
I would probably, I imagine that could be the case, but otherwise it was a perk that a lot of people just didn't pick unless it was
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like only because of Necro Savants.
Right. But like I say, it's just people just didn't use it, and if you ask the community at any point, they'd all tell you it's a terrible perk, but again, there's scenarios in the game where if I was playing an indebted run, I would get this perk for all of my indebted. So I can't say that it's a 5 because I'd still use it. And there's other people out there that would use it and actually show effectiveness to it. I just don't like it. I just wouldn't want to use it. So to each their own type of thing.
Right. I feel like it would probably be better used in mass instead of putting it on that one guy you want to keep, because to me it's like bandages. I put bandages on some of the backline, but whenever I need it, they're never close enough that I can use it. So I've been trying to carry more into battle for this reason, but 9 lives is just, I put it on this one guy and then I'll probably never see it if I use it. That's the way I kind of feel about it.
Oh, I
How many utility slots do you get in the game, like for a character to carry?
Just 2.
Unless you
can
have
upgrade that.
unless you have
Yeah,
bags
wouldn't it be a waste to just carry like bandages or something, like rather than something more useful?
That depends on how you play.
Exactly, I agree. Yeah, because the bleed,
Yeah,
it doesn't stop bleed. If you have 70 health still and you got 3 stacks of bleed on you, you'll get it for 2 turns at 60 health if they have the mastery, and so, or the cleaver mastery. It doesn't actually save you,
Wait, are we going on to the discussion now?
Yep, we're in the discussion now.
Okay.
Procs it before he dies. It's a challenge to everybody. Let's see what we can get to.
I think it's really high because I don't take it on people who I don't expect to be dying.
Shinobi,
Well, it's not necessarily true. Probably like once or twice because they're supposed to die, so they're just gonna die.
Just a
Hold
side
on,
question here, but
real quick.
Shinobi, do you actually name the guys you do this to, or is it just like generic brothers you pick up and then just hope they die, or do you name them something else and then like somebody you don't like or something?
No, well, okay, so it depends on the run. Like, if I've got a run where I'm not naming guys, I'll generic names and then add things like this guy's nose got cut off. Now he's the noseless. Or this guy became the undying. And then as soon as he earned his title, he died. So another valuable lesson is once you get attached to a bro, the game will take it away from you or try really hard. Oh, it challenged everybody to just make a 9 lives bro and see how many times you can save him with 9 lives before he dies.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, you got to break out of the shell a little bit, try things. I think a lot of people would just assume not to use it because, I don't know.
It's just 9 lives.
It's just 9 lives. I think it's got its own little stigma. When you read it, you're like, well, that's assuming that I'm going to die. And so I'm going to play this to live, And so,
to
Issue with
save
9
brothers
lives.
like that, you need like high initiative brothers just to go in and like maul the bad guys, or like rotation just to get him out of there while he's bleeding out like every orifice and everything. I think too much just to try for like a run, just for a 9 lives run.
Well, and the other thing too is, honestly, guys, if in terms of saving a brother, would you rather have 9 lives or would you rather have rotation to get a guy who's about to die out?
If he's about to die, Like, is he bleeding? Like, for example.
Right. But I'm saying, like, let's say he's not bleeding, but like he's like on the brink. If he gets hit one time, he's dead.
Rotation, you can get him out 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I usually take bandages on all of my guys, so I can. Somebody must be near him if he's able to rotate out, so I can just bandage him up if he's bleeding and stuff. So
I
yeah,
feel
would
like
take
rotation
both of
is.
But Shinobi's like non-life run does sound very fun though, because everybody's gonna have like rotation and high initiative, and one guy has no initiative and just gonna be there just to suck. Just run out first with like what's that perk where you like run really far ahead and then he just gets mauled, and then everybody else just has to try save him every time.
Yeah. So you'll be lucky if he lives to see Lone Wolf or Battle Forge.
The issue with 9 lives is it doesn't help you until you're on death's door. Like, if we're talking about Colossus gets you to not die. Rotate gets you to not die. These perks affect you, like, almost the entire time you play, because you're playing not dead. 9 lives only helps you when you're about to die. So when people who aren't about to die, which should be basically everybody beyond day 50, then it's a kind of a dump perk. It just doesn't help you frequently enough to be worth. Like, if you had unlimited perk points, great, awesome perk. Just not when you only have 11, because there's just no room for it. It doesn't proc enough.
It's
Exactly.
viable though. It is viable because of the fact that like when you get like loads of brothers and you get one brother just there to like add the challenge to yourself, and like Shinobi style playing would actually like make the game seem more hilarious or fun to yourself. Just for like, oh goddamn, I gotta save Doug again. Doug's out there and he's getting stabbed in the butt, man.
I guess it's just down to how you play, what you think is fun, and
Right.
what you want
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play to run around and have guys die, so I can't comment on that being fun.
Well, I'd say this is that ultimately I feel like this perk is a perk that I'm surprised it even went this long that we're talking about it still. But I think that's great because if you're playing and like now I want to do a run where I can only have 12 brothers and have all of them have it and just see how it plays out. Like how many times did I actually save a brother? I'm not saying that it's going to be this changed my mind to the point where everybody's going to have it now. No. And that's where I look at what Jauger was saying about it. It's like it's one that you might put on somebody, but you might never see it. And if you had it on everybody when that guy's about to die, you'll notice it. Where the indebted run that I'm doing right now, every one of those bastards should have 9 lives. Every single one of those sorry bastards. It's just something where, again, that's why it pops up a 3 on my board, is because I can see where it would work. But yeah, it's, I don't know, a little sigh of relief, if you will.
Okay,
I feel like oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, you guys said you put it on your fodder. That's why I gave it a 4. But I do put it on my fodder, but I gave it a 5 because I usually don't take fodder. Like for example, in my Long Wolf playthrough, I only had like 2 fodder bros during the whole thing. I'm on like day 250 now. I usually don't. I did it on my Gladiator run, and I just realized how much money I was wasting. Like, I don't want to buy brothers just for them to die, And they didn't really live long enough for me to give them 9 lives, because I usually give them Colossus first, and then like Steel Brow. And even if I would have given them 9 lives, they would have just died probably anyways. But sometimes they did live long enough to get it, and it did work sometimes. But like there was like one out of 3 times it worked for me. But I just don't like spending money on fodder. Like it's just wasted money for me.
Then do you save Scott? Okay, do you save and buy bros? Because like it's gambling. How do you know if you don't know if someone's bad when you buy them, unless you're buying a cripple.
Yeah, I definitely save scum a lot.
Okay, so then that's totally fair. But if you weren't doing that, then you're getting a lot of fodder bros, and in the early game, you're desperate for bros. That's how you win fights, is just having bros. Because if everyone's got a 50% chance to hit, you need 8 50s to kill a raider. Otherwise, you're just gonna lose. So you just have to have these terrible bros. In which case, when some of them happen to be so bad that they can't be saved, you just give them 9 lives, and they'll just take some hits for a while. Yeah. It saves the bros that you want. Like if you're not throwing in to the like terrible positions bros that you want to live, then they're not gonna die as frequently. So that's why you take 9 lives.
And you just throw them you throw the fodder in front of the guys that you want to live.
That's
Yeah.
the purpose of a fodder is to die. That is why
Yes.
they exist. They exist to die. So they should take 9 lives so that they can live a little bit longer before they die.
But I thought you didn't play the game to have bros die. Now you're talking
Yeah,
about having bros
late game. Yeah, bros I care about. Like late
yeah,
game. Like beyond day
who's
50, you don't take fodder bros because you have real bros that you're leveling.
Well, yeah, who's gonna have no, don't take don't take 9 lives on a guy and do this at like day 200. Don't play my game at day 200.
What do you mean? I don't understand that.
No, but Shinobi, I think he means because like
I mean, like
buys
early
them as
game,
bros.
take 9 lives on a guy and have fun with it. Just see how many times you can get him to survive.
I mean, I guess doesn't make the perk any better if I'm playing a meme.
That would be like, hey, my fodder bro was successful this many times before I had to buy another one. It's like, see, you already do it. You just don't write down how many times he lives.
Yeah,
On
'cause
a
it's like
side
twice.
note, like building on what Puggo said about like loads of brothers with 9 lives there playing like a hardcore run, and then just thinking about Jaeger's storytelling on Reddit. I just imagine like loads of brothers with 9 lives going down in one round, and they're all like looking over to like the hardcore brother, and the first one's like, "Mate, I played the sax at your sister's wedding." The next guy's like, "Hey man, I gave you a kidney," and the third guy's like, "I always give you a lift to work," and then you have to decide who to save, and that's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's just so much there. I don't know. Like I said, I'd like to do a run just to see, but do a run where I only have 12 like a lone wolf. Everybody has it. Like find my top echelons guys to fill out my band of brothers. You know, go through your fodder, get to the later game and have 9 lives and see how much does it save the brothers in the ultra late game. You know, and I get if you're playing Iron Man, I could see 9 lives even being more effective because of the do or die scenarios in the game. But if you're on the save scum side of the spectrum, I think it actually almost doesn't help anything, because like there's almost no point besides fodder, just because of you can dictate who lives or dies just by exit out, reload, you know. So I guess and other than that, it's about having fun. So if you use this perk and you want to try the side of Shinobi, like, hey, you want to max this perk out, then heck yeah, it works. I mean, that's gonna be great for you if you want to do it that way. But that's amazing. I'm actually shocked by how much input came from 9 lives. I was thinking this was gonna be more cut and dry, but there's a lot of interesting avenues that people have brought up. Definitely gonna be definitely great. Well, I'll open the floor one more time. Anybody else have anything else they want to say about 9 lives? Otherwise, we'll make it a wrap. The crickets. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for coming out. I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did, please hit the like, subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.